Hi hotties, it's me, Bussy, and welcome back to my channel. And today we'll be looking into the curious case of Willow Pill's toaster from her talent show number in the premiere of Drag Race Season 14, looking at Gunn's recent tweet, which sparked a bit of controversy online from the Drag Race community and responses to that tweet. And finally, we'll be taking a look at what Michelle Visage has to say about what some Drag Race fans are calling Drag Race fatigue. But first, the #1 question I've been getting recently is, where in the world are you watching RuPaul's Drag Race? On streaming platforms I already pay for with the help of award-winning VPN and today's video sponsor, Surfshark. For example, you can only stream certain seasons of Drag Race and other TV shows based on where you live in the world because streaming platforms geo-restrict their content. But with Surfshark, I can click one button and virtually relocate myself to the UK, for instance. Voila, fish, chips, and RuPaul's Drag Race. I also love Surfshark because it can protect your identity online, block ads and trackers, and hide your internet traffic from the prying eyes of your internet service provider, or snoopers on public Wi-Fi. And best of all, you can use Surfshark on all your devices with unlimited device login. Plus, there's no risk in just trying it out because Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you need a VPN, and everyone does, or you're just looking for a better one, then click the link in the description of my video and use code BUSSY during checkout to get 83% off and 3 extra months of Surfshark for free. Thanks Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Now grab a cup and let's get into it. First up, Willow Pill's toaster. Her talent show number has been almost all anyone can talk about since the season 14 premiere, Ariana Grande included, who commented on one of Willow Pill's Instagram posts with emojis of bread and a bathtub. As a quick refresher, her talent show number included her lip syncing to Enya's Only Time while she dumped various food items into a bathtub that she eventually ended up in. And at the end of this number, on my first watch, I interpreted the toaster as landing in the bathtub with her, considering, the episode had focused on her telling her story about her inner darkness and finding ways to cope with that through humor. And for those of you still not with me, if an electric item went into a bathtub that you went in, something bad might happen. Anyhow, I watched the performance and saw the toaster go into the tub, but I was surprised to find that there was a debate raging online about where it actually ended up. Turns out, when you go and look at the final frame of her performance, you can see the toaster is actually outside of the bathtub, which I think is what left many viewers and then me confused. Was that performance actually supposed to be dark humor, poking fun at what would happen if the toaster had gone in, or was it all just silly nonsense? And it certainly didn't help the debate when someone tweeted Willow asking, "Can you help settle debate, please? Was the toaster in the tub at the end?" To which she responded, "It's up to your artistic interpretation." Though the real tea, it seems, was actually at the Roscoe's viewing party uploaded to YouTube. About the performance and the use of the toaster, she said this.
I'd made a video with some friends in high school, like 7 years ago, of me throwing shit in a bathtub to that song. And so I was like, I have to bring that to the stage. And then I was like, how can I turn this into a suicide joke because I'm so... And honestly, I pitched the toaster idea to them, thinking there was no way they would allow it. I was like, oh, and I can just throw a toaster in at the end. And the lady on the phone was like, and then?
So there you have it. It does seem like she did originally intend for the toaster to go inside of the tub. And I think the easy explanation as to why the toaster did not actually end up inside the tub, I'm speculating here, was to A, keep the prop safe, and B, prevent her from having to jump into a tub that had a giant toaster in it, thus opening her up to getting injured. I would love to know though, when you first watched that performance, where did you see the toaster go? Now, let's move on to Gunn's latest controversial statements. The day after the season 14 Drag Race premiere, Gunn tweeted this. "So happy to see a trans person on an actual season of Drag Race. Trans flag emoji. The doors that I've opened. ... And as a quick reminder, Gunn is a trans woman who originally competed on season 6 of Drag Race and later on All Stars 4. And we'll break down her statement here in just a minute, but let's go ahead and take a look at the reactions from some of the other queens in the franchise. Gottmik responded directly to that tweet writing, "I love my fake season." To which Gia said, "Let me clarify, trans women." Kylie Sonic Love responded with a gif of herself making a sort of skeptical face. Ariel Versace responded, "Oof." And while these next 2 tweets from Peppermint and Carmen were not tweeted directly at Gia in response to this tweet, these tweets were made that same day, just a few hours after Gia's tweet. Peppermint wrote, okay girl, ha ha ha. And Carmen said, "There's a trans girl on Drag Race because we all fought for a trans girl on Drag Race. Some of us were fighting when it wasn't even, quote, cool yet. But that's not the point. And then on January 10th, Kornbread from season 14 mentioned Gia in a tweet response to one of Carrie's tweets celebrating that Carrie and Kornbread had won the Minnie and Maxie challenges. She wrote, "Thank you to our Lord and Savior, Gia Christ." And then she also tweeted out, waiting for Gia to tweet about how she opened the doors for MJ Rodriguez to win a Golden Globe, all because she saw one on the front of a geography book in middle school. And for some context there, MJ officially became the first trans woman to win a Golden Globe for her work on Pose this past weekend. So a super congrats to her. But point being, and jokes aside, there have been many trans and non-binary contestants on the show. And Gia's tweet completely ignored the fact that she wasn't the only queen to help open doors for Carrie and Kornbread's casting, nor was she the first. I mean, just from the queens who we read tweets from in this video so far, we have Gottmik, who competed on season 13 of Drag Race as an openly trans man, Peppermint, a trans woman who competed on season 9, Carmen Carrera, another trans woman who competed on season 3, and Kylie, a trans woman who originally competed on season 2, came out during the reunion, and then later won All-Star 6 this past year while competing as an openly trans woman, next to Jiggly Caliente, another openly trans woman from the show. And notably, Monica Beverly Hills came out as a trans woman on the main stage of Drag Race in season 5. Plus, her tweet does completely discount the other seasons of Drag Race as not being actual seasons of Drag Race, I suppose. Because Drag Race Thailand and Drag Race Holland both have trans women winners, Angelina Nang and Vanessa Von Cartier. And to be clear here, the queens' names, whose names I've mentioned in this section of the video, are in no way meant to be interpreted as a full list of queens with transgender identities, but are simply a jumping off point for this discussion. If you're curious to learn more about and celebrate the community of queens who have publicly come out as trans, you can check out the RuPaul's Drag Race fandom wiki, which looks like it maintains a pretty up-to-date list. Anyway, after receiving all the backlash from her franchise sisters, Gia Gunn tweeted out, "A friendly reminder why I never talk about that show anymore. Smiley face. Okay, going back to doing trans things. ... At the end of the day, though, I do want to remind you that most of this is just silly Twitter drama, and it's not to be taken too seriously. The better takeaway here, I think, is to be happy we can celebrate a huge rainbow of representation that has been showcased across Drag Race, both US and international, and all-stars alike. Because when you look into the greater realm of entertainment, it is easy to see there are so many steps that still need to be taken in terms of representation for the trans community. I mean, just look at MJ that we just talked about, being the first trans woman in 2022 to win a Golden Globe. Next up, Michelle Visage and Drag Race Fatigue. I came across an interesting article published by Digital Spy containing some interview pieces from Michelle on this topic. Referencing, of course, that Drag Race put out 9 seasons last year across all of its franchises, and fans were feeling a tad overwhelmed by all of that. On that topic, Visage said, "We fought so long and hard to get queer programming on TV, and Drag Race has kind of blazed that trail in many ways. Not the only ways, I'm not taking all the credit, don't get me wrong," and added, "It won't be here forever. Nothing's here forever. So we have to enjoy being celebrated right now, and we should continue. If you don't have time to watch them all, then record them. Watch them on WoW Presents Plus," she said, pointing out that all versions of Drag Race are available on that streaming platform. And hey, isn't it nice to know that using a VPN like Surfshark can, take you anywhere you want in the world to watch those seasons? Link in description. And I've seen this Drag Race fatigue complained all over the internet in the past year. I mean, I understand it. If you actually were trying to keep up with every single season, you often last year found yourself watching 2 or 3 at a time. But I also really love what Michelle said about there never being enough queer representation, because for so long, there was basically zero. And these international seasons are so important to so many of these countries outside of the US, because for so long, their only mainstream drag representation was US based. Now they have their own. And I think that's worth celebrating. My final thoughts here are that you should enjoy the seasons of Drag Race that you want to enjoy. No one's holding a loaded lipstick tube to your head, making you binge watch every single episode. And with that, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic and the 2 others we discussed in today's video. I also want to thank you for watching today's video and give a special shout out to today's video sponsor, Surfshark, and my generous patrons who make my channel possible. And I want to give an extra special shout out to Kenneth, Gatsby, and Michael Behrens, who just joined my Patreon at the hot tier, and Audrea, who's just joined my Patreon at the hottest hot tier, and Alial, Angel, Cyrus, Alicia, Hector Simancas, JB, Jeffrey, Joseph, Josh Marchant, JP in Dallas, Laura Lisette, Matthew Burns, Matthew Bauer, Maxilo, wow, Miss F, Neely, Scooby Snacks, Sailor, Steven, Tom Jaco, Tom Young, Topher, Triton, Wheelie, and Yeejeet, who are all supporting me at the Bussy Queen Collector tier of my Patreon. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye.